revolutionary, frontline standing, solitary, mind state, kinda scary. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Put me on the front line. 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 Until the end. Follow me if you can. Heart beating faster. Don't forget to breathe. Put me on front line. Put me on front line. Put me on front line. Put me on front line.
What is up, people? What is up? Let's go real quick. All right, let's see who's up in here. What's up, Trouble? What is up, Dojo Time? Thanks for stopping by. Flat Earth Preacher, thank you. Ted, what is up? Oh shit, Jay Alex is in the building. Let's see what's going on today. It's been a while since going on. I told myself no matter what was going on, I was going to try to get on at least once a week. So I'm going to make sure I keep that going. A lot to talk about, though. Like most of you have seen in my little excerpt, quote-unquote excerpt video yesterday, I've got some big plans for what's going on in the future. Let me see if I can get this over real quick. I'm definitely gonna set up a hangout, so get that going on. Let's see where this is. Close this out. But let me get into what my plans are, like I was saying. So basically, y'all know that I'm pretty sure I've told everyone. Been hanging out around the Glovers pretty much. A lot of Discord and good stuff like that. Hang on one second, let me fix this mic setting. Give me 1 second, people. Alright, that should be a little bit better. Get that popped up real quick. And also, you know, like I said, we're going to get Hangout going. Let me see if I can set it up real quick. Fun. Where is it? Hopefully I got the right one set up. We'll see. Check that real quick. Yep, there it is. One more I wanted to set up. Thanks for holding on with me, guys. I know this is a pain in the ass, but hey, it's got to get done. Perfect. All right, so that will be ready to go. And obviously, else. All right, let's get into it. So, like I was saying, what's up, George? Thanks for stopping by. So this is the thing. I've been hanging out in the Discord where all the Glovers hang out, and I was on Reds the other day, Red Rhetorics. And we were talking about weather modification, and very clear that people who don't want to believe in stuff are going to just believe whatever the fuck they want, regardless of reality. So basically what I've been up to a lot is just doing a lot of research. It's not about whether or not to prove it to them. I figured out one thing that Flat Earthers we need to do is need to listen to the Glovers. I know it sounds far-fetched, but here's what it is. They're not gonna just listen, and they're not gonna take anything we say and research it for themselves. One thing I did notice is that regardless of how sure we are or how what us content creators create, um, we're not answering the questions that people who don't know or don't believe it need to know to actually take what we're saying to face value. So basically, what I did is I got on Red Rhetorics and basically told them, hey, I can prove weather modification right off the bat. And of course, they go through their little rhetorics and their bullshit and their BS. But the reality of it is we're not answering the questions non-believers and people who don't want to believe are asking. Now, when I say that, that doesn't mean, when we talk to these Globers, just let them all talk and just be on with their BS. But the reality is there are things lots of people want to know before they can just ride with it. And I think those are things we need to work on, filling in the holes of truth, as I call them, to make these people realize the reality of what's going on. So in a little bit, I'll go into some more weather modification stuff, and I think it's a good idea because then, hey, get to learn more and get to see what really needs to be said and researched for these what we call the dumbasses of Earth to figure this stuff out, because it's not just people who don't know what's going on. It is people who are adamantly about trying to disprove us, regardless of what we say. So that's the big news. That's my big what I'm doing right now. So that's kind of one of the reasons I haven't been on too much. Been trying to fill in the holes of my research so that people who don't want to believe can have no choice. And it's baffling. It's the time that I've been away. Pretty much, I've realized that these people just don't want to learn. They don't want the truth. They want to think everything's perfectly fine, even with things going on today. We just went over last stream over the 5G. Not one person. They all think it's fine. It's just another internet connection, regardless of the studies they're doing and the stuff they're showing us. And it's ridiculous. And like I said, I have quite a few topics I want to go over today. We're gonna go over, like I said, we're gonna go over some weather modification stuff. I want to go over a big thing I want to go over is hang on, I have a little list that I'm reading off of. I told you guys about the gravity podcast, the one where the scientists don't know what the fuck gravity is, and they all doubt Newton and Einstein, the whole nine, all this stuff that Globers aren't willing to even admit is going on. But I had a conversation a little while ago about it. It was, hey guys, you guys talk about gravity like it's set in stone, and science knows what's going on. And the reality is that science has no fucking clue. And I got a podcast with a physicist who basically puts it all out there. I want to go over DARPA, Raytheon, a company called Solar Corp. We've talked about them before. They're the ones that bought the energy rights from California for a space-based solar power. Not sure if you guys remember EarthX. That was the corporation or entity, I guess you would want to call it, that plans for all the natural disasters and all that stuff. And we'll go into the correlations between them and weather modification, and it's right in our faces that they're doing this on purpose and don't really care. I also wanted to touch into a little bit of other content creators, especially Richie from Boston. Kind of angry with him. It was about a few months ago. He did a little upload, and he was talking about weather modification, which he does a lot of, which I do appreciate. I think we need more people talking about it. But at one time he said HARP was bullshit. HARP was nothing, and basically anyone who thought HARP was alive still was stupid. And he did an upload today where he kind of admitted that HARP was still around, and for someone of that size of a content creator, I think it's essential that your research be more spot on than anybody's. My research is touchy, and I know that there are little things and holes that I need to fill in so that we can have a better understanding of what's going on. But I think anyone with that kind of sub count definitely shouldn't be saying one thing one day and then the next saying something completely different. When it comes to the level of what he said, because I've always said, and I've always made sure my research on that point was very correct, that HARP is not only here. HARP is the leader. HARP is the ones who start all the innovative technology. They're the ones paying for a lot of the patents. And if it's not HARP, it's DARPA. DARPA is, I consider, to be the money bags of brand new technology. And of course, the military is going to want to be at the front of it, and they definitely are. So we're going to go into all that good stuff. Let me go in the chat real quick. Make sure I say what's up to everybody. Mick Vice is in the building. What's up, sir? Still got to do that Sasquatch podcast, or as you would call, as I'm going to call it, the Mick Vice minute. That way you can go. I want to hear the mind of Mick Vice. George is in the building. What's up, man? How you doing? Let's see if anyone else showed up. And like I said, I'm going to start, no matter what, you'll get a stream out of me once a week. And whatnot. This one is, I kind of just already laid out the topics. But I'm going to do, like I said, once a week. I don't think they're going to be the same topics or same subject matter. For instance, next week, by that time, I'll have done enough of the research to put these globers in their place. And then next week, I kind of want to start going over, the off-the-grid topics again. How to survive if something happens, whether it's natural disasters or government bullshit. Jay says, did the guys show up who can't speak come back? Oh, that one dude, no, he hadn't, not yet, Jay. All right, no worries. Yeah, but with that said, let's go into some stuff. Like I said, I have quite a few topics I wanted to go over, go through notes and stuff like that. But I wanted to definitely get this podcast over, the gravity podcast going, so you guys can understand what science really says about gravity. Because one of the biggest things being talked about in these discords. Oh, with that said, in the description, I've also started doing a lot of different social media type sites. Figured that'd be the best way to start and get everything out there that we were trying to explain to everybody. So if you're not on Discord yet, why don't you guys jump into my description area? There is a Discord link that I have started for FE Frontline Discord. I'm still trying to figure it out. Jay Alex, I'll probably end up talking to you in the back chat about it, but I want to start using the Discord also for Hangouts. Ultimately, I just want to get the hell away from Google Hangouts. It's a joke how it works. It's a joke how we have to use to stay safe. Discord is a pretty damn good way. So I started that up. Also, there's some other sites down there that are new. There's one called Minds, minds.com. It's basically going to be like the new Facebook. I see it as. I've been on there for a little bit now, but it's definitely a lot more lenient. We don't have to worry so much about being taken down and all that stuff over there. I also have a group there, FE Frontline community group. Start that up. But yeah, all the links are in the description. So check those out when you guys get a shot. Yeah, but it's gonna be cool. I got a lot of big plans, and I know I've been saying I got a lot of big plans, but all these things take time, and hopefully it'll be pretty soon. Also, before I go over that podcast, I wanted to go over a little something. It's about the donation thing. Now, typically, I personally don't feel comfortable asking. There is a link. There's a couple links in my description, as in for my PayPal. That stuff is that's 100% for my computer programs, upgrades. There are able to research a lot more when you actually pay for some of these stupid sites, but it does take money. But again, I don't need it. I don't, it just helps. It makes things happen a little faster. And I do appreciate anyone who has already. that kind of is more of a under the table. You don't really need yourself. You don't really need people to say who did it or who didn't donate. I also have in there the Streamlab. I gotta adjust it, so don't use Streamlab yet if you do. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make it probably like 50 cents or something like that. But then throughout the whole show and like the right side of my screen, I'm gonna make it so that for 50 cents you can say whatever the hell you want to say, regardless, because regardless of what's in the chat or what you say in chat, that will be pretty much a big pop up, and everyone will see it without needing to scroll through the chat all the time. But it's like I said, it's appreciated. It helps. It's not needed, but it does help get things moving and happen faster for you guys and for myself. Because like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still trying to figure out the truth for everything, and I personally don't think it's wrong. The funny part to me is that all these Globers that want to talk about it, 90% of them have, super chats, PayPals, Streamlabs, the whole nine. The funny part is a lot of them come from the Discord I listen to and everything. Yet, Red Rhetoric just had 5 different, help Red Rhetoric get a new car shit podcast. And to me, it's like, stop talking shit if, you guys are going to do it yourself. There are a lot of these, what I call the flat earth rejects that have a problem with it. Yeah, there's a lot of these flat earth rejects that have a problem with it. And like I said in the beginning, this flat earth reject movement that's going on is funny. It's a bunch of bitter flat earthers have not dropped their egos. They want everyone to listen to them, and if you're not listening to them or acknowledging them, there's a problem as far as they're concerned. And to me, it is a joke. I don't really like putting people on blast, but there's somebody that needs to be put on blast and called out for their weirdness. And a lot of you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. I've either talked to you in the back chats about it, or you've got to witness it in the hangouts and or on during live streams of other people. We're gonna start doing that kind of stuff because everyone needs to know who to watch out for, who to realize has these issues. So as far as I'm concerned, this is going to be the place where these people get called out for their BS, rather than hiding in the bat chat with their weirdness, as I call it. But let's get into this gravity podcast. I want you guys to hear what real physicists, real scientists think about this. This comes from a podcast I listen to, the Robert. I don't want to destroy his name. See if I can find it real quick so I don't do that. Robert. I want to find the guy's name. I don't want to destroy it, and I don't want to piss anybody off that has anything to do with that podcast. Give him a call and be like, hey, this guy was talking about you, and he doesn't know, blah, blah, blah. So I want to make sure. It's called The Conspiracy Unlimited with Richard Siren. Yeah, Richard Siren. It's pretty good. He does a lot of, just conspiracy type talk all the way around. If you guys want to find him, like I said, it's called Conspiracy Unlimited. He does have a YouTube channel, but I got him on a iTunes iPod or podcast selection. But this is episode 41. It's called Secrets of Gravity. Now, mind you, these guys are not flat earthers, and that was actually one of the main reasons I wanted you guys to hear it, because most Globers will tell you that the things that flat earth people are saying are bullshit, yet at the same time, you'll hear how they really feel about gravity and the mysteries, quote unquote, of gravity. That makes us realize that, hey, there are so many holes in science. Even what they say with this gravity thing makes you question whether or not they could even come close to figuring it out. With that, let me go back in. Constant Burns, what's up? I am Kat. How you doing, sir? Welcome. He says you're new to the stream, but I'm always interested in other. That's cool. Well, welcome. Tanner, how you doing, sir? It's been a while since I've seen you around. I was over at the the MMA holds streams a while ago. I hadn't seen you there, so I was kind of worried about you. It's good to know that you're good to go. But I said, let's get into this gravity thing. Like I said, the world birthers, but that's better because then when you hear them say they don't know what gravity is and the reasons that they have an issue with just holding on to gravity, it makes you realize that all these facts that these globers keep spouting out in these debates and discords is really bullshit. And I wish they'd listen to this shit and realize that what they think they know is actually not what they really know. So let me get this going.
Well, let's talk gravity, shall we? First of all, the idea, the theories of gravity have been with us for, 400 years since Isaac Newton, but it seems we still know very little about it. How is that possible?
Well, I mean, you put your finger on why I was interested in writing this book, because I'm fascinated by the paradoxes of gravity, and you just put your finger on one of them, and that is that, we think it's the force that was, that we first understood, Isaac Newton, 300 or 400 years ago, and yet it's the force which is the most inexplicable today. So there's that paradox there. It's also the force which is by some huge factor the weakest in the whole of nature. I mean, I can hold my arm out horizontally and the entire mass of the Earth, with all of its gravity, cannot pull my arm down, so it's that weak. And yet, on the large scale, it controls absolutely everything in the universe, so the weakest force is actually the most powerful on the large scale. And then, Newton imagined that it was like an invisible tether that connected the Earth to the sun and kept the Earth, orbiting the sun. But Einstein showed that was completely incorrect. And in fact, there's no such thing as the force of gravity. In fact, what a mass like the sun does is it creates a depression, a valley in the space-time around it, and the Earth is just going around the edge of that valley, rather like a roulette ball around a roulette wheel. So there are all those kind of paradoxes that got me interested in writing about gravity.
Now, like I said, I'm going to kind of pause in and out, and we'll talk and go over what's going on. If you want to get into the hangout once this is done, let me know in the chat. I am watching it, and we'll go over it. What's up, Origin? How you doing, sir? Welcome. Skyveer, how you doing, sir? Who else just came in? I just saw someone else. Oh, that was it. Okay, but like I said, we're going to go over this stuff. So if you guys have questions or want to go over something you hear right now, let me know, and we will.
And what do we need to do in order to maybe crack the code or understand these paradoxes? Can we ever? Is there a missing element here?
It's the hardest, the biggest challenge physics has ever faced. We don't really know. I should tell you that Newton came up with a description of gravity, his law of gravity. We think that he did it by seeing the fall of an apple and thinking that an apple falling from a tree was very much like the moon falling towards the Earth. He made that kind of comparison. But then, 100 years ago, Einstein showed that in fact there was a better theory of gravity, his own theory of gravity, and Newton's theory was merely an approximation of his theory. Now, we also know that Einstein's itself is not the final theory. It's an approximation of a deeper theory. And the theory, which is Einstein's theory, predicts that at that moment of the Big Bang, the density, the temperature, every parameter was infinite. Well, when you get infinity in any theory of physics, it's telling you that the theory has been stretched beyond the point where it can say anything sensible. So Einstein's theory predicts what we call a singularity in the Big Bang, and therefore we know it's incorrect. Gravity itself could be described in that way, but nobody knows how to do it.
And with that, that's one of the big things I needed everyone to hear. There are ways that scientists will describe or or bring to light a subject or a situation. And what we need to understand is that when a scientist says infinity, that means they've gone over so many possibilities or ways of explaining or ways to show it that they can't pinpoint it on one. Therefore, infinity just means they can't figure it out yet. There's too many ideas, there's too many variables to go through to pinpoint an answer on that.
And they've been trying for almost a century.
And while you say that Einstein's theories of gravity are incomplete and an approximation, some are now challenging his theories as wrong. If Einstein's theory of gravity is wrong, then we don't need dark matter. I mean, there's a couple of questions wrapped up in there. Let's start with why are they saying Einstein is wrong about gravity?
Well, because a lot of things don't fit. You know, a lot of observations do not fit our predictions. The last time that something this exciting happened was in the 1920s, and that was when quantum theory, the theory of the microscopic world, the theory of atoms, was developed, and quantum theory showed that pretty much everything that had gone before was incorrect. And now we have this problem that when we look out at the universe, 95% of it is invisible. So in addition to the stuff that we're made of, the atoms that we're made of, you and me are made of, that the Earth is made of, that the stars and the galaxies are made of, this only accounts for 5% of what there is. So what are these two components, dark matter and dark energy, which are between them 95% of the mass of the universe? What the hell are they? We don't know, but it is possible that Einstein's theory, which was kind of devised to explain things in the solar system or whatever, perhaps it needs modification on the very large scales. Maybe it's not completely correct. People don't like to do that because one of the telltale signs of good physical theories, and we don't know why this is true, but they're beautiful. So the theories which are like Einstein's theory, like quantum theory, have a certain beauty to them, and to modify them in an arbitrary way is something that physicists resist, because for some reason they don't understand beauty is a good indicator of a successful theory. So I don't think anyone's really wanting to throw out Einstein's theory of gravity. So it passes every single test.
So we can't be too quick to toss dark matter out the window. Then it's
dark matter. Well, I mean, dark matter does appear to be there. Dark energy does appear to be there. The problem is, if you're looking for another explanation, the problem is that these we don't know what they are, but these substances are indicated by from several lines. So if we take, for instance, dark, but the problem is that nobody had come up with a modification of Einstein's theory of gravity, which
host coast to coast from time to time, and we talk a lot.
And like I said, so if you guys haven't caught on, I already said it as well. You know, these are an edited excerpts of questions. If you want to listen to the full one, I think I have the link in the description. If not, I will put it out there. But it is conspiracy. Let me go over that. I'll do it again in a second. I'll go over what it was. I forget the name again. But yeah, it's far-fetched to me to make for any of these people to actually act like they know what they're talking about. Reality, as you heard, physicists themselves don't understand what's going on. It's the way it is. So, you know, I would hope that there are some Globers in here. What's up, Jet? How you doing, sir? As I speak on Globers, understand that science doesn't understand a lot. They don't know a lot. Yet, guys take these things and you try to use them as your Earth is round proof. It's bullshit. Like I said, they say a lot of things that will make you believe they know what's going on. I think someone in the chat said earlier it's double speak, which is exactly what it is. Like me telling you guys, at 12:10 to 12:30 a.m., Earth, the whole Earth shakes because it has to. We've done these calculations and we're trying to figure it out, but you know for sure it has something to do with dark matter. And of course, what I just said is all bullshit, but I'm just going to give you an example of it. By the way, that's just the way it is. And then, you know, 6 months later, you'll hear a scientist go, you know, but trying to figure out why the Earth shakes at this certain time. Our labs are all closed from 11 p.m. till the next morning, but when we're driving home, we feel this, so we know exactly what it is. But you know, we got it all figured out. We don't really. That's what we really need to understand. They're saying they don't know shit. They're trying to figure it out. And for them to anybody, I don't care, flat Earth, globe, to say that any science is figured out, you're lying to yourselves. That's all it is. I don't care who you are. I've made this interpretation or this example to everybody. Think you can read 5% of a book and then do a book report explaining the whole thing? Hell no. Do you think you can look through 5% of your driver's window in a car and drive around town? No, not fucking possible. So you explain to me how you have this science thing figured out, and you're not even in like the worst part is these people aren't even scientists. They're not even in the field to be talking to us like it's how it is. Yet they're not willing to do the real research to find out that science is a guessing game. Recently, I found out that the whole quote unquote Big Bang predictions they had were all wrong. So if it's all wrong, then why isn't it to question if that even happened at all? That's how I feel about it. They say that the Big Bang does, and that isn't just play to the Big Bang. This plays to everything we've ever known in these little situations every time. For instance, they talk about the Big Bang and how the universe started from one spot, this Big Bang, and boom, everything goes out, everything's expanding. The universe is constantly expanding. But here's the problem. Their predictions of the Big Bang, which means their way of knowing how it works, their idea of how it works, all came under eventually the universe would slow down and come to a stop. Problem is, that prediction was wrong. The universe is actually speeding up, expanding. What they explain is, or they say, and not even sure of, if it's at the speed of light, which is unknown. Because there are actually so many variables of light that to know what the speed of light is a joke. One of the ways they say this is, they know is, I've heard sure you guys have heard the term the speed of light, or not speed of light, light years away. Here's a problem I have with it. As a term, for instance, how far is the sun? The sun is supposedly so and so amount of light years away, which means it would take that many years for light to travel a certain distance. They say it takes 8 seconds for the sun's light rays to hit Earth and for us to see it. The problem I have is, how do you know it takes 8 seconds? Because if you put your hand in front of your face and you don't see the sun, you move your hand, that sun's there instantly. Turn your lights on, the light's there. It all doesn't add up. They say it takes so and so amount of seconds for the sun to hit the moon, therefore reflect back to blah blah. They don't know. It's there, and they just add numbers in to try to make themselves make sense. You guys heard the physicist say just a minute ago, the reason all this is the same and the reason they keep expanding these lies is their egos. No scientist who's been studying a certain subject for 20 years and believes what he says is going to change everything based on one thing that disproves it. It's not going to happen. What are they going to do? They're going to find out why they got this other result and then try to work it into what they believe is how it is. Just the way it works. I don't care what all these globers say. Reality is, science is a guessing game. They predict. The fact that they predict stuff is funny. A prediction isn't something that's set in stone. A prediction is, I think this will happen. Let's see. Have a good one, Jed. Thanks for stopping by. Let's see what happens, and maybe it'll work out. But and like I said, it's not just these single scenarios. It's life. It's pure everything. If you guys can't figure out that the universe is expanding, speeding up, and/or slowing down, then how are you going to tell me that everything on Earth, at some point, because of friction, yada yada yada, will do what you say it will do? Well, I got to figure it out now because obviously you guys don't. To me, being someone who does believe in space, I do believe they are able to send rockets into low space orbit. There are little aspects that make me believe so. Like I said, it's not set in stone because I have not built myself a rocket and sent myself to space to be able to let you guys know, hey, it is how it is. But these things do take me down the paths for my research, and one of the things I've been researching now lately, not only with the weather modification stuff, it's these new technologies, solar. I kind of went over it a while ago. There is a secret battle going on between these fossil fuel companies and solar companies. The issue is mainly the money grab for who's going to get the best result. Again, if we found the most perfect solar solution, that puts billions and billions of people out of work. Billions of, or all these companies that make billions on it out of work. And trust me, it's not going to happen. Just understand, the Bushes, the president, they own, I'm going to say, probably about 80% of the United States' oil reserves alone. If we went to straight solar and stopped using fossil fuels, they're sitting on useless product, and that's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Good in the chat. Origin says, Sean, is outer space a thing? I think yes. Otherwise, how do you describe what's after low space orbit? I don't know for a fact, but I don't think we're ever going to send and or be able to study outer space, mainly because of all these radiation areas, unknown science of how things work. They do a lot of talking about how the vacuum of space and space itself is, and over the past year alone, I've heard completely different from what I've always was taught. I was always taught that Earth was void of matter, had no matter in it. The problem is there's a lot of matter in space, a lot of fucking matter. So how they can tell us there's nothing in space, and space is the vacuum of space defined as nothing, is bullshit, and just how it works. Constance Burns says, yes, the Van Allen belt is a big area of our orbit that is, or our area that is just pockets of radiation, and they want to talk how they take these special paths to get around the radiation belt, but yet their trajectory from the space launches is not different. I would think they'd have to make a sizable difference to get that far out there. One of the big things with getting into outer space past the radiation belt, AE, the moon, is that they tell us there's a certain speed a rocket needs or a shuttle needs to leave our atmosphere, which is not 100% how fast. Actually, Gary's in the chat. Let's see if Gary can let us know. Hey, Gary, do you know the speed in which a rocket needs to leave Earth's atmosphere? Regardless, we do know for a fact that these quote-unquote satellites and ISS need to be orbiting at 17,500 to stay in orbit due to this quote-unquote gravity, which means any faster, they would typically, what you would think would happen is they would fly out of that orbit and into space uncontrollably. And that's what we are taught. We now know that somehow ISS is able to basically do whatever. They're able to basically maneuver around space trash so they don't hit it. You would think at 17,000 miles an hour, anything the size of a dime hits the ISS, it would obliterate it. But, you know, hey, every time these situations come up, they have these wonderful BS answers for it. So, like I was saying, Gary says it depends on the size of the object. Well, let's go SpaceX rocket. Or better yet, the space shuttle, when we're using that still. Speed at which it needs to leave. Or better yet, Apollo. Because those are the ones, those are the big ones. Those are the big BSs. Okay, so we'll guesstimate. We're not going to say it's in concrete, Ted, but 25,000 to leave orbit, which means at 25,000 to leave orbit, slowing down and speeding up is a variable in space. Therefore, because whether they can or can't use rocket technology, a rocket thrust is nowhere near going to be the same in space. And at the same time, it's kind of like riding a jet ski. You're not able to just turn and speed up like you think they're going to. So my question is to, seeing how, you know, Gary's here. Gary, how did Apollo leave Earth's orbit at, we'll say 17,000 into space, which means they are able to orbit. So before Apollo left, if anyone doesn't know exactly how it worked, they made 2 Earth orbits before they supposedly went through the Van Allen belt onto space. They get to the moon. They supposedly got into moon's orbit, orbited, released what you would call the lunar lander, and once the lunar lander was done, it took off and met the orbiting shuttle or whatever back to Earth. Here's my problem. How do you first of all, how do you enter the moon's orbit for the moon's quote-unquote gravity to catch you at the speeds they are traveling? Understand that if you're going faster than 1750, you don't orbit Earth. You be shot off into space. So anything faster than whatever the moon's gravity can handle, you're not going to be slingshot with it. You're going to bypass it. How do you hit the brakes? How does Apollo hit the brakes to be able to enter the moon's orbit and then able to orbit it? Once it was in the moon's orbit, how did they slingshot fast enough to get back to Earth? Doesn't make any sense. No one can really explain it. I've asked these questions. It's all just they did. You know, they have to. They're able to. Whatever. Blah blah blah. So, like, you know, these are the questions that make us know there is something funny going on. The answers we get, I think, is what really pushes us towards the it didn't happen type situation, like the moon landing. Catch enough lies, catch them very easily. And if you don't want to catch the lies and you don't want to believe what's really going on, then hey, you're going to be a glober and you're going to assume everything is perfectly fine and the government loves you and they have your best interest at heart. Luckily enough, you guys have enough sense in your brains to realize that questioning is good, and that for that we have also realized and been able to prove a lot of these things are bullshit. But with that said, what is up, Flat Trotter? There is definitely more to this podcast. Go ahead and go listen to it right now. Like I said, some of these things are kind of going to go off back and forth because it's edited, but I'll kind of stop and go through it one more time, and or stop once we get to another point. Gary said, what did you mean, Gary? So she sent Sean doesn't understand how rockets work. They don't exist. It doesn't even make sense, Gary, because I've already made it very clear that I do believe in rockets, and I do think they are in low space orbit. So I don't know where that statement comes from. But let's get into this. Hey, what's up, Hugh? How you doing, sir?
About unidentified aerial phenomena, and we talk about anti-gravitics and trying to understand how that might work. But is anti-gravity even the right term? Because you were mentioning, you know, if we hold our hand up in the air, that's anti-gravitics, isn't it?
Well, you have to tell me what you mean by anti-gravity, because we just mentioned dark energy, which accounts for 2/3 of the mass of our universe, and it actually has repulsive gravity. Okay, so when you're at school, they teach you, Newton's law, and they say that one of the central characteristic of gravity is, and it's an attractive force. So it's an attraction between all masses. There's an attraction between the Earth and the Moon. There's an attraction between you and someone walking past you on the street, although it's too small to notice. But it turns out that most of the stuff in the universe actually has repulsive gravity. This is dark energy. And its repulsive gravity is speeding up the expansion of the universe. So I don't think that teaching of children has actually progressed to the point where we are now. So, dark energy was discovered in 1998. It was contrary to all expectations. The universe was expanding in the aftermath of the Big Bang, an explosion. The galaxies, and we are living on one of 2 trillion of them, are flying apart like pieces of cosmic shrapnel. We expected that the expansion will be slowing down, because it's the gravity, the attractive gravity between all the galaxies is a bit like having an invisible web of elastic, connecting all the galaxies. So it should be breaking or slowing down expansion. In 1998, the groups in California and in Australia discovered that, contrary to expectations, the expansion is speeding up. So they had to postulate that between the galaxies there's this invisible stuff with repulsive gravity, dark energy, that's speeding up the expansion of the universe.
And hear that term anti-gravitics. And,
Yes.
Nikola Tesla was supposedly working on some sort of an anti-gravitic device. But I mean, that term confuses me because, as I say, if you're holding your arm up in the air, you're repelling gravity. Isn't that an example of anti-gravity?
No, not really. But what it actually tells you is how incredibly weak gravity is.
Mm-hmm.
It's something, and this is a huge mystery, because if we think that all the 4 forces of nature are aspects of the same force, a single force, and in fact we've been able to show that that's the case for 3 of the forces. They're all aspects of a single super force that existed in the Big Bang, and it's only in today does it appear as if there are 3 forces. The problem is that gravity is 1 followed by 40 zeros weaker than, for instance, the electric force, which is holding together the atoms in your body. Now, how can you even have a formula that describes all 4 forces where one of them is 1 followed by 40 zeros weaker? That's the problem. And that is why I can hold my arm out, because the electric force, that is what's powering my muscles, is 1 followed by 40 zeros stronger than the gravitational force. But that isn't anti-gravitics, what you're talking about. The problem we've got is that if you take, for instance, the electric force, it comes in 2 types. There are 2 types of matter. So you could call it type 1 and type 2, whatever. It turns out historically we've called it negatively charged, and positively charged. And the force, it turns out that between a negative and positive charge you get an attractive force, and between two positives you get a repulsive force. So in other words, these forces can cancel each other out. Gravity only comes in 1 form. It only comes in. There aren't 2 types of gravity. There's only 1 type of matter that we know of, and that has attraction. If there was another type that repelled, maybe we could actually create anti-gravity in some way. When I say about dark energy being repulsive, that isn't. We don't know. We don't think that's matter. We don't even know what it is.
And with that, finally got that podcast done with. Like I was saying, it's funny to me that they're able to tell us what all these things are, but in reality of it is that they don't know. And it'd be wonderful if these people would explain, hey, these are guesses. We don't really understand. We're trying to figure it out. Rather than come across like, hey, we figured it out. Origin says, but planets have never been seen in any other way but through a telescope or CGI composites. And that is a very good point there, Origin. I asked these Globers the exact same question. I said, hey, when you look in a telescope, do you see what appears to be a star, or do you see a planet? And then, if they come with the same one, well, stars do this and planets do this. No, no, no. I asked a question. When you look out in a telescope or your P900, do you see what you see what looks like a star, or do you see an actual planet? For instance, Venus or Mars. You're able to see these stars when the sun is coming up. Basically, quote unquote, because the sun shines on them and they make it. Okay, well, how come the moon, if it is a sphere entity in space, how come it does not twinkle or have this star-like look to it? And that doesn't make sense. Hey, what's up, near base? You see Saturn. Okay, no, what you actually see, and I'm pretty sure you have to be in 100% agreement to this, is not a planet. You see a ball of gas in space, correct? I ask this because do you see this the nickel and or rock center that science says is there, even though they can't see it either? And I think this is as close to reality as you're going to get there, near base. Saturn. When you look at Saturn, all you're seeing is a pocket of gas in space. I mean, am I not wrong? Am I wrong, near base? Do you see a planet, or do you see a pocket of gas? Because that's also the other thing. When you look and you see what you believe to be Saturn, a planet, in reality it is a ball of gas. How come Saturn looks like Saturn? It looks like a ball of gas to me. They say it's a ball of gas. Why doesn't it twinkle like Mars or Venus, which is much closer to us? What is up, Legendary? Welcome, my friend. How you doing? And with that, let's go ahead and open up the panel. Let me see if I can get this up real quick. Bam, there it is. See if I can get the oh, there it is. Let me see if I can get this to actually work this time. We'll go ahead and add I know Jay may want to come in. See what's up with the whole fam. See if anyone wants to shoot in. See what's going on. If you guys, like I said, if you guys want to come in, just go ahead and put it in the chat that you want to jump on the panel, and I will go ahead and send that invite out. Like I said, I only invited a few just now, only because those are the people that usually jump on, but we'll see how it goes. I am Cat. The moon doesn't twinkle because it is closer to us. Okay, I understand that. I mean, and I'll take that into consideration. My question is then why do Venus and Mars twinkle or do all these things, but Saturn doesn't? Get a couple more of these names in there real quick. What is up? What is up, Jay? Who else we got? What is up, Jay? And what is up, Legendary? You're still mute. There you go.
What's going on, man?
How you doing, sir?
Hanging in there, man. What's going on with you?
Just chilling. What is up, Hugh? How you doing, sir? Yeah, just getting all this info out there, man.
What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
What's up, Sean? What's up with you?
Pretty good.
What's up with you, Legendary? What's up with you, man?
Relaxing, doing a lot of research and trying to get the truth out there, man. I'm not sure if you guys got to hear the podcast, what I call the Gravity Podcast, but it made it very clear that the physicists and science alone are, they're questioning everything. They don't understand a lot of things that are told. One of the biggest things that no globalists are saying when they're trying to spit out their facts is that 5% of the universe seems kind of small to be telling me what's going on.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. Like I said, and I made this analogy before, do you think you could read 5% of a book and then give a good book report? Nope. Do you think you can drive around town with 5% of vision through your window? Hell no. Yet we're supposed to believe all these things with the fact that science can only see 5%.
Yeah, crazy. Did anybody, I know, I happened to look at Madon channel, man, and he said he seen satellites. Did y'all see the satellites that he seen?
Is that the one where he had the direct TV guys broken ass iPad things all broken and snapped and shit? Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that shit.
The funny
yeah.
part is that the funny part is that no time do you see you actually even get to see a satellite. It's just all you see is a broke ass iPod and Madonna and a dude standing there talking like they know what they're talking about.
No, bro, he showed the satellites that be in the ground, bro. The satellites on your back porch. Right.
Wait. Satellites on my back porch. I have not.
Yes. And he was like, I know they on the ground, but they pointed up in the sky. I said, wow, is he fucking serious? He's serious?
And is he talking about the dishes?
Yes.
Wow. That's ridiculous because I've also looked into this, and you remember back in the day when everyone was talking about how satellites is how our cell phones work too. I've gone on so many damn sites for cell phone networks and tower installers. There's not one talk of satellites when it comes to how cell phones work, and we now understand that because now they don't even talk about it like the same way. But why can't these dishes be pointed at a main tower? That's all it is. We've already shown that they can do the RF waves and send all these signals with towers. That's more than enough.
That's it.
All they gotta
That's
do.
all it's doing is pointing in the direction of the main tower. That's all they do.
Exactly.
Actually, it's actually airways, or the signal travels through airways. So all they got to do is track the signal through the air. Really, that's what you don't really know what's going on. You feel me? Because this is the same thing that's traveling, like our thoughts travel like the speed of light. So this the same, man. It's the same thing, man. Anything with a signal, they can tap into, bro. So it's way different than what they talking about. It's way different, bro. It's all off them towers, man.
Yeah.
Simple, man.
Someone else was gonna say something. I didn't want to cut nobody off, but yeah, it's fucking ridiculous how sure everyone is of all this shit, regardless of whether or not they even really have a fucking clue. What's up with this sound? All right, here we go. Hey, everyone, do me a favor. I need to do a sound check real quick because this volume control is doing something funny. Hey, Legendary, you want to say something real quick? Yeah, Alex, anybody?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Mic check. 1 2 1 2.
There we go. That's what it was. Hey, Hugh, say something real quick.
1 2 1 2 1 2. Check.
All right, you should be good to go now. Yeah, they were saying that you were a little low in the chat, so I just did a little bit of adjusting with the volume. My bad.
Okay, that's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's the things that these people are saying as facts is so far-fetched that it's like, how do you not question all these people? You know what I mean? It's fucking ridiculous. And like I said, I've been hanging out in this Discord with these Globers, and I think they're more at this point there to just talk shit to people rather than try to say facts. I've already said I'm done answering questions. I want answers now. And now that I've started doing that, you guys should hear how frustrated they get when it comes to making it clear. I'm done answering your guys' dumbass questions. Now prove your claims. Someone in the chat, you're the same as the ones you claim are leading people astray. Bring little of the opposite of convinced fact and say it is fact. No, I do not. I actually do not. I'm very clear on the fact that the research I do is my research alone. I am Cat. I claim to know nothing more than anybody else here on this panel and or in my chat. I do my research and I give you my opinion on it. There are things I can say are facts that I know for sure are facts, but I am more than humble enough to let everyone know. If I don't know, I don't know. That's reality. And I'm pretty sure everyone would agree. I'm the last person in the world that's going to tell you how something is and tell you there's no other way. That'd be ridiculous of me. But there are, like I said, there are things I know that, and I do research that lead me to believe how I believe it is, and I'm going to let everyone know it, seeing how it is my live stream. Yeah, but when it comes
to, you're entitled to your freedom and your freedom of speech and your freedom to think the way that you want to think, just like anybody else entitled to the way that they want to think.
Absolutely.
Dealing with what we're looking at and facts, and I'm looking at this airplane and how it's rising. I can see it going up, and it's at an angle going up, and I know when it get up, it's gonna level out. You can't dispute that.
Exactly.
You feel what I'm saying? That's something that I know. You feel me? I know that if I felt the plane going around the earth and it would start tilting down, I would think it was crashing. So it couldn't go around the earth. This is something that I know. I know if the earth was spinning around and the plane, I was on this plane, how the plane gonna land on it when it's out of its orbit, it's in its own pocket of atmosphere, it's in its own wavelength. You feel what I'm saying? So that don't add up. Yeah, and that's just like, that's something that you can say that's fact. I mean, like, that's facts. When you saying facts, that's facts what I can see with my eyes, man. Like, that's, man, come on.
Yeah, people that, like, there's someone in the chat now who's making it seem like things don't need to be questioned. Anything can be questioned. If I tell you the sky is blue, I hope you would question it. I hope your questions would be like, why is the sky blue? What makes it blue? Why isn't it green? Why isn't it purple? The fact that people question things is how we're able to find out truth. But I know for a fact, all growing up, I was 100% believing everything science said, period. I didn't question anything. But once you start questioning things is when you start seeing the holes, start seeing the truth. If no one looked into gravity, we would all be thinking gravity is real. When you look into it, you find out that science just made gravity to be something because they can't explain anything. They can explain how water, what the chemical breakdown of water is. They can tell you why helium rises. They can tell you what chemicals that bond with this chemical does what, but they can't tell you what gravity is. Oh, we've done these steps. You guys, this is a global favorite one, the Cavendish experiment. Okay, well, explain to me how they did that experiment void of any interference. What do you mean? Okay, well, first of all, there's wind, there's wind, there's exact measurements of the systems you're using. Is there any friction involved in your test? All the above. There is atmosphere of whatever room you did it in. There is atmosphere. I've never seen the Cavendish experiment done in a chamber. If you want to talk about chambers, okay, let's talk chambers. Can they make the same vacuum of space in a chamber? Nope, they can't. It's impossible. They can't make what they say is space is made of this perfect vacuum. They can't do it. So how do you know that is gravity? You don't. You just said, hey, those two things hit each other when we did the test, therefore it must be gravity. Einstein and Newton, everything science is based off of is mostly off of what they were saying. They've never experienced vacuum of space or no atmosphere. So how the fuck can they have figured all this stuff out? How? It's impossible. And then, they add their other bullshit. Okay, well, oh shit, gravity, we can't figure that out. We have to figure something out. The universe is speeding up. It's not slowing down. We have to figure out an explanation. Oh, well, dark matter. Okay, what's dark matter? Oh, well, we don't actually know what dark matter is, but it has to be. It just has to be there. That's like their favorite term. It just has to be. Okay, well, if it just has to be is your proof, I'm going to question it, and I'm going to call BS. Wait. So
that's what we lacking now, Sean. Like what you're saying right now. That's what we lacking now. That's what got us so far down the hole. So generation after generation, we've been given this model to follow and to never question, you know, because it seems like the people who are questioning the indoctrination or the authority are laughed at by the popular scientific, you know, the popular belief people who think that we have been handed the truth and should not question anything. There's no reason to question outer space or anything that we've been given. So, you know, with this, it solidifies the lie even more and more, and the people who ask questions become the minority so much to we're at the point where we're at now. You know?
Exactly. Well, and this is a perfect example. There's someone in the chat, I am Cat, who stated, and this is what they said: I can see the curve when standing on the ocean shore. I don't believe NASA or anyone who works at any space center across the world would need to lie about it. That right there in itself, that right there in itself, I am Cat, is the reason why we have to question things, and when we fully believe that there are people that we call sheeps. I can tell you right now, there is no way in hell, I don't care, and I'm going to say this is a fact and/or proof that you're not quite sure what's going on. You did not see curve from the ocean shore. You don't see curve from 13,000 feet, which someone stated in the Discord area. I explained to them I went skydiving. When you go skydiving, you jump at 13,000 feet. I didn't see any curve. At 35,000 feet in a jetliner, which is over twice the amount from when you skydive, you don't see a curve. The space station is so close to Earth that it's impossible for it to see curve. So you explain to me how you saw curve from the shore of a beach, because I can call bullshit. Exactly, Dojo. So Dojo says, questions build research. Without question, lies escape to the info. And I guess I would, you know what, personally, I'm going to go ahead and call it laziness. If you're not willing to research, even what you know is fact, you're not willing to find out what truth is. You're just willing to listen.
No, what they are, bro. What they are believers, bro. This is why we question, because we want to know. If you question something, you want to know the answer to it, right? You don't just want to believe what you were told is true. They like to believe. They don't realize that belief was forced on us, and they didn't want us to know anything. So this is where people like us get it from, because we have critical thinking. You know what I'm saying? We use critical thinking, so we question because we want to know. We don't want to just believe. We want to fucking know it. We are truth seekers because we want to know the truth. We don't want to believe in the truth. We want to know in it so we can operate the proper way. Because if you believe something is not all the way stone. But if you know that it's the truth, you can apply the truth the correct way. It's a difference.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to say something too about that whole being able to see the curve, staring out into the ocean. You know, just listen to that logic. So I'm standing at the beach and I'm looking out into the ocean and I'm saying I can see the curve, but when I turn left and right and I look along the shoreline, shouldn't I be expected to see that same curve that I see out in the horizon when I turn around and do a 360? You don't. Go to somewhere that's been proven to be flat as far as topography goes, like for instance Kansas. That same logic should be able to be applied in that situation. You should see that curve there as well, but you don't. So, like you said, the higher you go, you still see no curve. So when will we start asking these questions? When?
And those are the most important questions, because there are millions of people on this earth right now that believe you get in an airplane, guess what you'll see? Curve. You won't. You won't at all. It's impossible. Not to mention, this is how impossible it is. So they say that the earth is so big that you need altitude to be able to see this curve. So my question is with all this talk of how big the earth is and how high and you have to be to actually observe the curve, how is it that these boats that they keep saying go over a curve happens right off the beach? If Earth is that big and the curve is so minimal and that's why we can't see it from so low, how are we able to see this quote unquote curve after minutes of a boat going out into the ocean? To be logical, it goes further than you can see. Well, if you believe the curve with all your heart, and someone trying to disprove it is so wrong, guess what you're going to believe? You're going to believe it's going over a curve, which is bullshit. It doesn't work that way. If you can't see a curve from 35,000 feet, you're sure as hell not going to see a boat go over the curve in a few minutes from the beach.
That's facts right there, bro. But after my phone is about to die, as soon as I get back in the house, man, I'm gonna jump right back on. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no worries, no worries. And I'm not sure.
Alright.
In Dojo, I couldn't find you on my Hangouts, but if you're more than welcome to jump on if you'd like. I sent that to you in the personal back chat we have, and then so you're more than welcome if you want to jump in here. I'm not sure if you're kind of busy at the moment, and that goes for anybody. Anybody wants to jump on the panel, let me know. To be honest, I'm not going to let Gary on. I'm not going to let anyone I know that is going to just be here to BS. We're trying to build, trying to figure things out, and Gary likes to as I call Gary, a hangout where he just yells and not, doesn't really want to find out truth. He just wants to try to make flat Earth wrong, and not going to happen. And let me see here. Okay, cool. So, like I was saying, we're going to go into quite a few things. I definitely wanted to talk about the weather modification situation that's going on. The main thing, I mean, it's pretty clear that we all know that it's happening. Weather modification is real. It's not a fake thing. I've showed you guys the multiple websites that promote that they do weather modification, slash cloud seeding. I've shown you how the silver iodine that they use is actually dangerous, regardless of whether or not they say it is safe. The reality of it is silver iodine over a long period of time is dangerous to humans, but who cares about humans? Okay, let's keep it real. They're doing a lot of this cloud seeding here in California, which is next to an ocean. We have a lot of rivers. We have a lot of lakes, and anything that lives in aquatic life in water, AE, if you don't understand what aquatic means, it's very dangerous to them. And it's even in the the chemical breakdown and the chemical classification of testing that they do, even states that the silver iodine is very, very dangerous to aquatic life. Yet they're not doing anything about it. They're stating that the stuff is safe, and it's ridiculous what they'll say to these people, and people believe without doing it. I am Cat. This is exactly why I decided to start live streaming, because sometimes people don't want to talk about it. Sometimes people don't do enough research to be talking about it. But the one thing I found out when I started looking into cloud seeding was that it's dangerous. It's not just this harmless technology that they figured out to help everybody. It does promote droughts. That is one of the biggest things that I'm researching right now, which is why it's taken so long to prove to these assholes that it's real. They state that there'd be some huge, massive change in how humidity and the weather is. So guess what I'm doing? I am literally going through every month since 2010 to 2018 to have a visual graph of how weather has worked month to month here in California. It is a very long and strenuous research, but if I can prove to these idiots that it's happening, I'm hoping that they'll be able to realize that things we're saying actually have some validity to them. Whether or not we can give you everything is one thing.
Right, Sean, because like even here in Atlanta, man, like we usually, like last year, bro, we didn't even have a winter at all. But right now in April, it usually be warm. It usually be like summer burning up like right now, man. It's freezing right now, man. It's unbelievable how cold it is. You got to know that we had to take a major shift in time. It's ridiculous, man. Or they're controlling the weather, man. It's something, man. It's not right, man. It's a major shift going on. Crazy, man. Unbelievable.
Oh yes, and let me make it clear, cloud seeding is baby talk. That is what I consider the pussy weather modification. That is the everyday happening all the time. Counties have many counties here in California have contracts in the works for cloud seeding in their areas. One of the biggest players in this is Santa Barbara. They, I think, have, what I've seen, is 35 contracts for weather modification since 1985. And just like, a lot of people saying they have to tell you what they're doing because it's part of their little scheme. Well, they do. They put it in newspapers. Unfortunately, I hate to have to make the comparison of it, but if your loved one passes away, one of the steps to finalizing everything is you actually have to put their death in an obituary. There's no way around it. You have to do it for the coroner's office and all the other places to verify and issue a death certificate, which I kind of find invasive, and especially because I had a personal experience with this. But yeah, they do it. I'll go ahead and show some of those, but it's the way it is. They put it in the papers. Not very many people read the newspaper anymore, and these articles that are stating that they are going to be doing this weather modifications, they're literally a half an inch by half an inch in a whole paper. It's a joke. You would think that they'd put these things front page because it's such a big deal. There's 1,000 reasons for doing it, but like I said, weather cloud seeding in general is the pussy weather modification as far as I'm concerned. You want to talk the big stuff. We're talking the ionosphere, stratosphere, thermosphere. Every 10 years, I think, they've been able to accomplish each layer. They've been able to take control of it. 1995, we have videos all over the internet where the U.S. Air Force stated very clearly, we have taken control of the ionosphere. We control it, do what we want with it, basically. I've showed many patents of the technology they're using, and like I was saying a little while ago, the biggest one I have started to read up on is space-based solar power. In theory and hypothesis of how it works, it is absolutely a wonderful idea. Here's the problem with it. The same things they use to control the ionosphere, stratosphere, and thermosphere is the same technology they want to use for this space-based solar system. Ultimately, it's control over the atmospheres. If they are able to pull this off, they will have full control. In the chat earlier, someone was talking about rockets not being able to fly in space. And with all accounts, theoretically, that is pretty much correct in the budget system-wise. It would probably cost 10 times more if they wanted to shuttle around space with regular thrusters. But they've been testing, I think it was since 1973, they've been testing rocket propulsion, which is basically using laser beams to move around space. And I personally believe that's exactly what the ISS is being thrusted through space with. Anything that is to be a satellite, for instance, I believe that the military is the only ones with satellites. Satellites do not need to orbit. If you talk to most of the Globers, if you name off satellites, they'll let you, they're geocentric. Okay, well, which ones aren't? I don't know, but I know the geocentric ones. Okay, well, I doubt DirecTV's paying $10 billion to launch and maintain satellites in space. Just don't think it's happening. It would explain their monthly rates, but I don't think that's what they're doing. And like I said, I don't know any of this for sure, but my research takes me down a lot of different roads, and space-based solar power explains a lot to me, and it shows a lot of what I've been reading up on. You know what I mean? I'll try to find me try to find one of those articles so you guys can see what they're doing, what they're putting in the paper, basically, because it's ridiculous.
No.
Oh, and while I'm looking for that, I'll go over anybody who does have solar, thinking about getting solar and still, being connected to the grid and everything. I'm betting money that's Jay Alex. Is that you, Jay? Giggling in the background like a little schoolgirl.
Hey, I forgot I didn't have it on mute. I was just like,
All right, so what I was looking for is that article that basically, so you guys can see what they're doing when they say they're putting it in the paper. So when we do find out that they are full of shit, exactly when they go, no, we've been telling everyone that we've been doing it. I want you guys to actually see what they're saying that they're doing. Oh, so let me go into solar. If you have solar and you're still quote unquote on the grid, connected to their lines, understand that you're not powering your house off of solar. To power your house, those solar plates, I don't care what size, they can't do it. It's not the same thing. They don't hold power. They don't work the same way. You can't plug a blender into a solar panel and it just give you power. There's a lot of little things in between that do that. Mainly, the most important being a solar battery, which is bigger and heavier than a regular battery. Costs a lot more, but it's worth it. Basically, if you're living in a house that is still connected to the grid, but you have gone solar, all you're doing is basically keeping the power company's energy at a certain level. Not sure if many people know, but if you put 100 watts into a line, or 100 volts, I'm sorry, into a line, and you send those volts down that line for, we'll say, a long way, over time it will lose its energy. It will lose its power. It's the amounts of volts that are involved. Kind of like your car battery. If your car battery doesn't have anything to recharge it, it's going to wear out. All you're doing is giving the power companies the same power they send out, the same power back to their plants. That's meaning they're not having to put any extra energy into the supply. Now you do get power still, and you do get those wonderful little breaks in your bill. But all they're doing is making you think that you're solar and you're going green. But in reality, it's all bullshit. If you live in California, understand that your rights to technology or energy in itself has been sold to a company called Solarian Company. The funny part about Solarian Company is they don't exist, I guess you would call it. Like I said, with my research, I've gone up and down the board trying to find their website, which does not exist. There's a company called Solarian, but it is a mom and pop solar company, so that kind of confused me a lot more when I found that out. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, here we go. Go ahead and present this real quick. And like I said, I may go live sometime during the week, hopefully, but I can't 100% guarantee it. I know what I gotta do. I need to make a screen. Give me 1 second. Sorry to take a second. So what I'm gonna do is find it. Sorry about that, guys. Right now I'm just I gotta put the ad in the newspaper that they put in. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys, but I gotta make a. Shouldn't take more than a couple seconds. All right, here we go. All right. So what I'm going to show you guys now, this is a thing in a newspaper for, what was it, Bowman County. It issued a proposal for weather modification, and as it states in weather modification laws, they do have to put this stuff in the newspapers for the public to know that they are planning to do it. So therefore, if the public does not want it, it won't happen. But like I said, these things are so small, and it's not like they're telling people to look for these things, but the reality is it's happening. County measure number 1, should weather modification or authority be abolished? Should Bowman County Weather Modification Authority be abolished? One of the things is yes. You want to abolish Bowman County Weather Modification, and one is no, to continue with weather modification in Bowman County. I'm guessing maybe 5% of the people actually saw that in Bowman County, so it's ridiculous. It's not something that they're willing to admit the level they're doing it, but they've been just weather modifying for many years. Let me see. Like I said, I got 1,000 things to show, so what I'm probably going to do is an upload on it, because it'll be a lot easier for me. But it's just, we got to open our eyes. We got to realize that whether we want to trust our government, or we want to actually believe this shit's happening, it's happening regardless, and we got to do something about it. I know Big Dreads was on a couple days ago, and he was talking about it. And I've been hearing a lot of content creators talking about the fact that we need to actually start doing something. Stop just talking and start actually making action. And here's the problem with that: our government is set up not to take action. Our government is set up to basically benefit themselves. Let me see. And before I get into this, let me see what's going on in the chat. The Flat Trotter, a magician, Magician for Truth. I said, what's up? Flat Enough, how you doing? Derek Baldwin, Cat, your problem. I am Cat. This content is there. Let me see. Like I said, this is the. One sec. Alright, that was weird. My OBS just went apeshit. But it doesn't matter, because I didn't plan on going on too long. I'm going to start doing these little much shorter ones. I may go on a little bit later on a different complete topic altogether. But the reality is, like I said, it's happening. Let me... Yeah, my stream is kind of getting laggy. I'm going to go ahead and try to fix it. So I'm going to put in a little break, and we'll hear some a little bit of Legendary Duke real quick. Or actually, no, I got to play some J. Alex. We haven't played him in a minute. Brought this one out. So if you guys haven't listened to some of J. Alex's music, go and step over there and check that out. And was saying, we'll go over that. Let me see. So, got some questions in the chat that I feel we should answer. I am Cat was talking about a few things that doesn't make sense, or I guess what we're talking about when it comes to things. For instance, the tides. No, the tides are definitely not gravity or moon's gravity. If that were the case, and actually I had a Glober trying to prove me wrong and actually prove me 100% right. The forces of gravity basically is a push-pull. Forces of gravity are a push-pull. Basically what that means is if your tide is coming in 180 degrees opposite to that tide, for AE, if I live in California, which means Japan, the whole east coast of that area, China and Russia and all that stuff, or China, I'm sorry, in Japan, that means their tide is low tide. Vice versa, their high tide, or blah, blah, blah. The problem is if you go and watch the tide, like something that shows the tides on the internet, it is very clear right away that the tides go in whatever direction the currents force the tides. It's all about the currents. It has nothing to do with gravity. That's just reality. I'm sorry. Let's see what else was being said in the chat. What's up, Charles? What's up? Said flat enough already. Let's see if I can find some more of these questions. And you had said earlier, Kat, that you said that you were part of that whole sheep brigade. It's even worse if you know you are. The reality of it is if none of this was true or held for questioning, we wouldn't be here. We would have been here for about a month. Flat Earth, I'm speaking, and truth seekers, and then we would have been gone. But reality is we're here, we're getting stronger, we're showing more proof, we're proving to you guys that we don't live on a ball, and we're also proving that the government doesn't give a shit. I know today they were talking about 9/11, and you can go blue in the face. I don't care what you think. If you believe that it had nothing to do with the government wanting stuff and had everything to do with Iraq, and you're clueless. You're just clueless, and it's ridiculous. I've had a few, I've actually had one debate on actually live stream, but I've had a few debates with people talking about 9/11, and to tell you the truth, I am not one of the people that believe it was a 3D hologram. I don't believe, it was a missile. But I mean, there are more than enough evidence that shows through paper, government documents and plans that show 100% the government knew what was going on. And when it comes to that, it comes to space travel, comes to anything, we've made it very clear and proven very clear that time and time again, our government is more than willing to kill, more than willing to not give a fuck about us to get what they want. And that should be more than enough for you to question everything the government does like we do. I love being called a conspiracy theorist because to me, that means the government isn't going to just bullshit me. They're not going to just make me feel dumb and do whatever the fuck they please based on bullshit stats and bullshit facts that they want to come out with. I'm sorry, I don't have time for it, and we don't have time for it. That's why I'm definitely happy there are so many content creators out there that are willing to go over different topics. I can't do them all, and they can't do them all, so it definitely matters that as a collective we are trying. Let me see. I want to go over a couple things before I get out of here. Like I said, one of the main issues I got going on right now is this weather modification research. I'm doing a lot of it. I'm going to do an upload of kind of the things I have. It's not going to be like I'm proving everything. I just wanted you guys to see what I'm working with. Like I said, when it comes to the donation things, because I've been hearing a lot about that going on. And then out of nowhere, seeing all these Globe dudes that did all the complaining, doing these fundraisers, these fun streams to help people get cars and shit, which makes no sense. I think it's good. I like it. I think to make other people understand better what's going on. Like I said, I have links to donate in my I'm never once going to tell you guys, hey, do this or so you can. No matter what, all my research, everything I do, whether I pay for my own upgrades, it's all going to end up coming right back to here. And getting the truth out. Yeah, I am cat, mind control, LSD, placebo. That's MK Ultra, isn't it? In a nutshell, yes, altogether. But MK Ultra basically is making people think a certain way, and it's bigger than drugs, and it's bigger than just making people believe things. It's actually turned into every news organization you know and listen to becoming puppets for them. They say what they're told to say. They don't tell you what's going on. And there are plenty of videos out there that show that they're all scripted and how it is. If that's not enough for you, all your weather forecasting you get, it comes from one place, the NOAA. They are basically the leaders of the weather organizations. They tell everyone what is allowed to be said. If you don't believe me, let me see. Who be that? Oh, what's up, you? Before I get back on, or before I finish, the weather, the NOAA, National Organization for Atmospheric Association, basically, I guess what it is. I probably killed the crap out of that abbreviation, but basically, there is a gag order out there that says that they are not allowed to talk about weather modification. They are not allowed to talk about cloud seeding. They are not allowed to give anyone the updates about this stuff. If you don't believe me, I will go ahead and put that link or actually I'll put that up on my upload and the link in the description for that. But the reality is there. Everything you need to know, all the truths that we are talking, come from somewhere. I don't think I've heard a lot of BSing, and the reality of it is we're all doing our research. So it has to be, there has to be truth in what we're telling you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there, and we wouldn't be here. I couldn't imagine lasting very long if it came down to it, if it was that way. When it comes down to anything else, let me think. I think that's it on my topics. I was going to go over DARPA. I think I'll do that a little bit later if I go live again. But there is one thing that I'll show you guys right now that I wanted to go over that I think is insanely important. Another one of those 100% proofs that the government is full of shit, and reasons for why we question these things. And I think that's really important. The reasons why we're questioning these things. I'm not sure if you guys, hang on, let me try to figure this out real quick. All right, mine goes blank. Hang on. Here, let me address the chat while I look. It'll be a little easier for me. I can see there's a few trolls here. Cunty McCuntface, aka Scarface, how you doing? Oh, what's up, Stargazer? How you doing, sir? Much respect to you. One of the actual Globers who enjoys the tormenting flat earthers, but at other people's expenses. He's not actually a dick. He just kind of is there. Oh shit, Madon is in the building. I'm modifying the weather for more than the government. Sure you are, Madon. You still need to flush those drools though, my friend. Let me go and I'm going to find this video, and I know a lot of you guys have seen it before because I've played it quite a few times. But it talks about this organization that the government has. It's called Earth X, and it's basically a group that basically plans out for natural disasters, plans out for takeovers, blah blah blah, the whole nine. But the reality is that everything going on is in our face, and they're showing it. Y'all remember that? Is that it? 2011? No, I think that's too short. No, it's basically. Hang on, I'm drawing a blank. I gotta try to find this real quick. Give me 1 second. One of these damn videos. Ah, found it. All right, get this up. Hopefully, so it's gonna. I'm gonna go ahead and let it play. It's not gonna be. 100% through, but I'll be able to, you know, go through it and pause, and we'll talk about a little bit of it. But let me get this up. Kind of hard to get this stuff going and talk at the same time, so I do apologize. Right, so should play just fine. Chandri, more like one troll. Oh yeah, definitely fine enough. That's exactly what it is. The funny part is I've never gotten about it is why do you guys send all these trolls to my lives? I mean, all you're doing is making my views look better. Thank you. I appreciate it. I remember back in the day when I first started, and I get like 200 views on a live stream when I really know only like 7 or 8 people had stopped by, and all they're doing is patting my shit. So I do appreciate it. Thank you, dumbasses. That, or I was letting someone in the chat was talking about how the trolls come in and out with the same sock account and everything, and I was saying, you know, I appreciate it because all they're really doing is patting my views and making them look better.
I just come in and just hear thank you, dumbass.
but if you think about it, that's what it is. That's all they're fucking doing. They're just making my shit look a lot better. And I like I said, I appreciate it. If you guys want to send, you know, another 100 sock accounts through, go ahead. More power to you. Thank you. You're not doing anything but fucking screwing yourselves. If I can find this, I could play a little bit better. But yeah, it's ridiculous. And all they're really doing is proving to me, and like everyone else, that what we believe is true because they have to try to halt the truth. Fucking joke. If I can get this going. You know what I'll have to do? I think I'm going to have to make it a full screen and just share it. Let's try that out.
Well, instead of doing a rain dance, we physicists are firing trillion-watt lasers into the sky to actually precipitate rain clouds and actually bring down lightning bolts. This is potentially a game changer.
But this is experimental.
It's experimental. However, in the laboratory so far, it works.
Why the hell can I
First, let me give you a little bit of back.
Ah, there we go. Turn that down first of all, because that was a lot of shit. Alright, here we go. Again, I do apologize. Let me see if I can get this going real quick. Low display. Which one is it? I don't think it's window capture. Can't do that. Why don't I have 2 screens to show? Because that's not going to work. Alright, let's see if I can make this work differently from here. That's not going to work here. I got to remember how to get all this stuff working again. There we go. Try this out. We'll play this way. Oh, duh. I don't do that. Go ahead and move this over here. Thanks for holding on for me. Big. There we go. That will work. Fit the screen first. And like I said, we've gone over this one before, but I think it's important that we do it again. But first I gotta get on my screen first. It'd probably help if I was on this right screen. There we go. Now this will make more sense to you guys. Like I said, I've gone over this before. This is at Earth X, and it does. They were going over. they were going over the natural disaster plans and all that good stuff. A lot of you guys remember when Hurricane Harvey came through. They actually had a quote unquote a get ready preparation date, and it happened to be the day after Hurricane Harvey actually hit, and it was, you know, subsequently or hurricane disasters. Yeah, what's up there? You, what's up?
Hey, my bad. I ain't mean to get off subject, but I be driving Lyft. I got two riders in the car. I got a rider. He just came from Japan, and he's a round earther.
Okay.
China. I mean, he just came from China, and he's a round earther. He's trying to figure out why we think that the Earth is round. And I was just asking him a couple questions. He don't know. So I was just seeing how to break him in, because he just you know what I'm saying.
Well, one thing for me.
Everything.
Oh yeah, and it's important that we talk about it. One of the things. Well, we'll go over what made me start looking into it. One of the things that made me start looking into it was when we go outside, we're in a plane, we don't observe any curve. One of the things that we hear a lot from Globers is, it's there. You just have to, be at a certain elevation. I mean, we've all asked NASA, you go through websites that talk about where the curve and how, 8 inches per square mile. We've done tests where we're standing at one spot. As for instance, I'm a surveyor, so I can survey certain areas and tell you right now that if you draw a solid line through an area and measure the elevation between the two, there is no 8-inch curve. Like I said, you observe flat. That's just the reality of it. That was the first thing that made me start looking into flat Earth, was the fact that there's no curve. The heights, the altitudes that you have to see this quote-unquote curve, I think has changed, at least 3 or 4 times since I've been around this past year. One of the biggest things that people should be looking into is NASA and the things they tell us, whether it be the moon landings, whether it be the capabilities and what they know of the universe. Like I was saying a little while ago, everything that we understand, whether it be gravity or how our solar system works, is based off of technology and ideas from the 1950s or the 1920s and earlier almost. We're talking Newton. I played you guys that excerpt of how most physicists are seriously in doubt for what Newton was capable of even finding out, or Einstein for that matter. How they're able to use 1920s based ideas in science in 2018 to prove to us what's going on is enough to throw red flags up there. Q, I don't think there's any way to make anyone who believes it's a globe right off the bat become flat earthers. The best thing you can do is tell them to research flat Earth. There's a lot of videos out there that have much more compelling facts than I can come with right now, right off the top of my head. But whether it be the moon landings, what we observe, the false predictions science has, is more than enough for us to question everything. I suggest you give them D.Marble's link. D.Marble explains it better than anybody I've ever known. D.Marble, like I've said many times, is the reason I'm a flat earther. He made it very clear that if he can figure things out that science can't, there has to be something to it, which made me look more into it and subsequently become a flat earther. I was trying to find one of the videos that got me to really look into it, but the realization is that our government does not have our best interests in heart. The things that they are telling us that we are able to show aren't true. People should be researching that stuff. Let me see. If I knew that I was going to have to be talking to Globers that didn't understand, I would have had better stuff up. I do apologize for that. But the best thing you could possibly do is research. and look around. That's the best thing to do. Is
When you see it for yourself, when you really just look at it and see it for yourself, just once you look at it one time, you be like, oh, okay. And then the rabbit hole goes so deep. It's a domino effect, man. It's just like, man, if they told a lie about that, what else is they lying about? And the research just continue on, man. We'll know.
Exactly, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Look around. Stop just trusting what the government says. Like I said, one of the biggest things for me was believe. I mean, you can believe it's a globe, you can believe in gravity, you can believe in all, but research it. Research how it really works. Research how the government uses these things. One of the best things I believe is necessary to do this is look at government documents. A lot of government documents that aren't just out there for everyone, that you have to actually research and find, will give you the proofs that will make you realize there's so much to question. And to be honest with you, flat Earth seemed to me, when I first got here, flat Earth seemed to be, but there's a whole lot of holes in why we went to Iraq. For instance, because not very many people realize it, but months before 9/11, Saddam Hussein said, "Hey, if you guys don't, take these sanctions off me, I'm gonna stop using the American. I'm gonna stop using the American dollar." All right, hang on, I'm buffering again. All right, yeah. So, like I was saying, the U.S. government, when it came to 9/11, stated that we were going to Iraq because they have weapons of mass destruction, which we did not find. Then they said that they needed to be what is it called? What was the word for it? They needed to be basically they needed a new government. They needed to live the American way. That's why we were there. But the problem is that we were there for their oil. We were there because of Saddam Hussein had actually decided to stop using the American dollar. It would crush our what do you call it? It would crush the value of our dollar, and we can't have that. So they took them out. The problem is now is that it was made very clear Saddam Hussein may be an asshole and he may attack all these small countries, but he kept Middle East at bay. He kept the Al-Qaeda's and the IS and the IS, what do you call them, the ISIS. He kept them at bay, which is why there's so much anarchy there now. But again, you will never hear the government say, "Hey, we went there because he threatened to stop using our dollar, and he has a lot of oil, and it will affect our economy if he doesn't." Things like that are 100% reason why you should be researching and questioning what the government says. Now, when it comes to the shape of our Earth, if NASA can't show us real pictures, if NASA can't be truthful about what they actually know, then how can we believe they've gone to the moon? How can we believe they know what's going on in the deeper parts of space and other universes? They act like they know so much that they literally have told us names, distances, and what is going on in other galaxies. Now, how is that possible when you can only see 5% of space? I don't know. I have no clue. Like I said, I'm one of few, but I do believe we do go to space. I don't believe we go to outer space. We go to low orbit. With a lot of these laser technologies, I believe they're able to move around space at will, which is why I do believe in the ISS and military satellites. But that's technology that they're not coming out with. So it'd be kind of hard. So when I hear people say, satellites aren't real, the ISS, all those things are fake, those are the reasons I like to do a lot of my research on these things that aren't what I call flat Earth mainstream. These aren't things that aren't researched yet. I'm going to go ahead and shut down this stream. I got a couple things I got to do. But what's going to happen is I'm going to go on live again. Probably, I know I'm going to go live again in an hour and a half for sure. because right now what it is there's a lot of things I'm talking about that I would prefer to have the visuals for you guys to see. I'm going to see if I can go ahead and coax some of these globers to come on in and make it more of a reality check to them, because I'm not going to let them take over my shit. I'm going to do nothing but state these facts. So this is what I'm going to do. At 7:30, I'm going to go live again, and I'm going to show you without a doubt why weather modification is real. I'm going to show you without a doubt that the weather meteorologists that we see on our news are reading off a script, just like the regular news is. And the little things that I've talked about today, I'm going to show you guys the real hard proof behind it. I am Kat. I hope you show up. I see Jim Panda's here. I hope you show up. All these things needs to be said and proven, and I understand a lot of you guys will listen to me and go research yourself, which is wonderful. But the reality of it is it's they're full of shit, and it all needs to be looked into, because if it was the way they say it is, you know, the government and these globers say everything works, we would not be here. You know what, Jim Panda, you're more than welcome. Matter of fact, the only reason I would say that is because, you know, I've seen you in Discord and you actually have not been quite above an asshole. And I'd actually like to hear what you guys think is the way it is, and then explain why it's not really that way. I'm going to let you guys know now, if you are a Glober and I allow you to come on my panel when I come on at 7:30, understand that this is not the flat earth prove it to you guys. We flat. It's going to be a situation. Jim Panda, more than welcome to come on my panel, but I hope answers for our questions. This will not run like your guys' Discord where you guys just talk shit and ask, you know, make us tell you how it works. I want to. That's where I'm coming from. So I'll see you guys in an hour and a half. I'm gonna go ahead and play us out with some legendary Duke. I saw that you just put that link out there, sir. I will play that. No problem at all. If I can find it real quick before I pop it up. And then, like I said, we're going to go into that video I was about to just show about energy and Earth X. We're going to get into that big time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set everything up, and I'm going to make sure that I have everything set up and ready for you guys. And then we're definitely going to get into it. Like I said, if you have any ideas or anything you guys want me to bring up some of the research I've done on topic-wise, let me know in the chat. But as of right now, I'm going to go over the Earth X, which also has something to do with the space-based solar power. I will go into some of the DARPA technology because I think that really needs to be talked about. And other than that, I think that's about it. Let me go ahead and get some of this legendary Duke going on, and then we'll end it with that until later on. Perfect, it's already there. So again, we're gonna listen to this, and then I'll come back and I'll let you guys know when I'm coming back on. But until then, enjoy.
Know a lot about that struggle. Sure do. Been through it all. Nobody taught me shit. Yeah. Remember that smell of cigarettes in my mother head? Every night when she got home, she drank up all the bed. My pops was nodded out, sitting in his rocking chair. I remember days when I ain't had no socks to wear. Looked into my future, never saw no college there. But that methadone line, I saw my father there. So when we went outside, we got a lot of stare. And yo, that hepatitis always had my mama scared. Looking deep into my eyes, you see that trauma there. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get out of tear. Cause what I used to fear happened slowly but surely. As soon as my uncle moved up here from Missouri, he passed my mother.
Oh, what the hell just happened? I apologize, guys. I don't know what just went on. Let me see if I can get that back on here. I see what happened. I had two different things up. I apologize, legendary. Let me get that back on there for you. fun parts of live streaming. Where is it? Alright, my bad. Let me get that on there right now. There it is. Go ahead and put that link. I'll put his channel link in the description for you guys too. Which one was it? Oh, there it is. Oh, so again, let me start that over. I do apologize, guys. I know trying to do something while we were watching it, and I accidentally closed out the link. That's better.
Yep. Know a lot about that struggle.
Sure do.
They do it all.
Yup.
Nobody tell me shit.
Yup.
Yeah. Remember that smell of cigarettes in my mother head? Every night when she got home, she drank up all the bed. My pops was nodded out, sitting in his rocking chair. I remember days when I ain't had no socks to wear. Looked into my future, never saw no college there. But that methadone line, I saw my father there. So when we went outside, we got a lot of stare. And yo, that hepatitis always had my mama scared. Looking deep into my eyes, you see that trauma there. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't get out the tear. Cause what I used to fear happened slowly but surely. As soon as my uncle moved up here from Missouri, he passed my mother the last drink of a story. And she was only 40, I was just a little shorty. And after that, my uncle left, he ain't never called me. I guess it ain't in his favor for him to say sorry. I guess he ain't put a gun to her head and say party. But this about the same time reality had caught me. I started doing poorly in school, that shit wasn't for me. The least of my worries, I was focused on my pockets. My pops was in a coma, he was down at Johns Hopkins. The rent was $200, I ain't have an option. Either make it happen or be sleeping in some boxes. Luckily, my pops had a closet full of narcotics. I was 14, I knew a lot about surviving. My teachers used to ask questions, I always stayed silent. I never had a soul that I could go and ask for guidance. I got an older brother, but he got his own problems. I couldn't count on him when I was scraping rock bottom. I had my homie Moses up until somebody shot him over a bitch that ain't know how to use a condom. We always tried to warn him, now all we could do is mourn him. I wake up in the morning, thank God for all I had. I'm thankful for the struggle, you don't even know the head. Sometimes I gotta pinch myself, but remind me I'm a dad. As long as I can give them everything I never had.
Revolutionary, frontline, solitary, mind state, scary, deep breath, take a deep breath, put me on line.
I'm from Baltimore, bitch, I don't want that. Red slaughter, y'all, block full of carnivore. I was in the trenches, you was on the court. I'm the type to point in court, go join the force. Heard you pointed out your source that we don't endorse. We torture rats, feel real remorse.